the one and only, the actual chairman of the party, Homeland Party, with us. It is Kenny Smith. Let me bring him forward right now. We'll get the conversation underway. Good sir, how are you doing on this glorious day?
Very good, very good. It's almost the end of the night here.
That's true. That's true. You're almost done with today, ahead of us
Yes, yeah.
about 5 hours, but it's great. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's the middle of the night over there, but you said you just got done with a party function already. You guys are hard at work, and I've heard a lot of positive things about the work that you all are doing. Really excited to hear that. Can you tell me, just first off, tell the folks, what is the Homeland Party? And then maybe we'll circle back to how you all got started and got things underway. But what is the Homeland Party? So many of us are in America, Canada, Australia, around the world. What's really going on?
So the Homeland Party is the UK's only genuine nationalist party. We stand up unapologetically for our own people, our own ethnicity, and we tell it like it is. We are first and foremost wanting to put our own people first, and that means halting mass immigration, starting remigration, so that we can actually serve the interests of our people. And we are genuinely the only political party in this country who has produced a comprehensive remigration policy.
Wow.
The first people in Europe, I think across the continent, actually to organise a remigration conference, and where we had visitors from across Europe. And yeah, we're literally going from strength to strength because we're offering something genuinely different, something that's modern, very different from most of the nationalist parties that have gone before. And we also focus heavily on community politics, being courageous and positive influences within our local communities, rather than just the same old rhetoric of stunts and social media campaigns. We actually try to make a difference in the communities where we live.
That's fantastic. That's the thing that I think we here really focus on is really getting at our people, improving their well-being. So it's not just a matter of, like you say, stunts going on in the background and trying to get like attention on like some sort of central figure that everybody decides they're going to be like worshiping and just following, and that's the person I'm at. But it's the actual participants are what matters. So I'm really happy to hear that you're so community focused, and really exciting to hear about the reimmigration conference and policies that you all have produced. And we can circle back to some of those and cover that a little bit more in depth. But it wasn't that long ago that you all got started, and you're already achieving so much. And I have to say that as I was telling you, really excited when you all kicked off and you set separate ways from another entity. And it seems like you really took a lot of the productive and normal folks along with you. So that was really good. That's the kind of face you want to have for the public. Tell us a little bit about the beginning of the Homeland Party. Where did the idea come from? How did it come together? And then sort of how it grew out of that origin.
Yeah, so I started in politics many years ago, way back in 1991. I was involved with the British National Party. And I was involved in that party as part of the team that modernized that party and made it electable. We engaged in community politics. At one point, they had over 200 councillors at various levels across the UK. They eventually had MEPs. So I've seen that community politics can be successful. After that collapsed, I spent a few years in a cultural group called Scotland First. But I really wanted to get back political again. But there was no appetite in Scotland First for that, unfortunately. So I effectively ran away to the hills, started a small holding, had sheep and chickens and ducks and turkeys, lived the good life,
Wow, cool.
waiting for the world to collapse and then we'd be there. And frankly, it doesn't happen. You have to engage, you have to get involved, you have to become the leader you want to see, you have to make change. And I looked around, there wasn't a great deal going. The political parties were selling the same tired old nonsense. And for me, it was important that I was part of a group that wanted to change the image of nationalism. And I was literally sold that by a speech that was given by Mark Collett, was like that guy speech, where they told us he wanted to clean up nationalism. And I took a while to be convinced. And actually, my very first conversation with him after months and months of being persuaded that he had changed and grown up, and my first words literally, for years, you were that guy for me, um, because he caused so many problems in the BNP.
Right.
But I was convinced that by him that he had changed, that he was going to do things differently, got on board, and quite frankly, that's not what transpired.
Mm.
We had fantastic people on board, but there was far too much of a toleration of people who weren't disciplined, were very antisocial, couldn't behave themselves. But it didn't really matter as long as you were funding, him and his colleague. Um, I worked as hard as I could to build structure, to build discipline, and I think after about a year and a half, I quit in the December. I put my notice in saying I was going. He persuaded me to stay on, and I only lasted till about the April, because the promises he made for reforming the organisation, professionalising the organisation, competing at elections and engaging in community politics, instead of just being, pardon me, essentially a social club. That's all it really was.
Mm, mm.
Watch your streams, come to socials, do nothing productive. Don't take power and control back. In fact, they were encouraging people to hide, and
Yeah.
that for me is an anathema to me. I've spent my whole life as an open nationalist, being confident, trying to set a good example, and when you hide, you tell people the opposite. You're almost saying you're ashamed, and that for me, I really struggled with. But so I parted ways. Knew fine that I would get vitriol and abuse for it, but I'm very thick-skinned Scotsman, so these things don't bother me. But what happened was, when I quit, a sizable chunk of the organisation quit. I think three-quarters of their officers quit, whole regions quit, and we knew fine we couldn't just walk away from nationalism. We had to do a bit, and over the period of 2-3 weeks, we worked incredibly hard, talking about all the things that we had wanted to do, and experience that we'd had in the past. So we created a new political party. There was nobody for us to join. It was still the same situation that before PA was created, and so we had to build something ourselves. And luckily, we had a fantastic team, a really, really brilliant team. Quite a few of them are still with us in my core team. And we didn't want to do the traditional red, white, and blue thing, that all the nationalist parties do. And we struck on the name Homeland. Again, it's a concept that can mean many different things to many people, even within the party now. I think if you ask people, what does Homeland mean to you? What does it evoke in you? Everybody's going to have their own thing, but it's always positive. We did the British Racing Green branding. The Irish like to think we stole it off them, but the British were using this colour for many years on the racetrack, where for me it signifies kind of excitement, innovation, ambition, striving, and that's what we want to do. So, we are a nationalist party, so we do look back on tradition and heritage, but we've got to be forward thinking. There's no point in us looking in the past now. We've got to fight on today's platform. We have to see the world as it genuinely is right now, and fight on that basis. So while we do have overtones to the past, we're forward looking, and we want to be a modern party. We push our own people, we promote our people, we want confidence and courage to be bywords of what the Homeland Party stands for. And again, that's very different. As you said in your introduction, it's not about this cult of personality. We focus on promoting leaders in our community. We've actually written it into our constitution that if there are any officers we discover deliberately holding back people or not promoting people with skills and talent, they're gone.
Ah.
We need to be an organization of thousands of leaders in every community. People need to be leading. It's not about one man. So, if somebody joins in a particular town or community, they're joining because of the work that's done by the activists there, not because of Kenny Smith or Anthony Burrows or Ali Cave or any of these people who are more prominent in the party. They're joining because they believe something can be done in their local community.
We're absolutely brilliant. I'm loving everything that I hear from you. As like I said a moment ago, the focusing on the community itself, no cult of personality, improving people's lives, getting into their lives where their lives meet the road, where, where we're engaged in all this anti-whiteism that's destroying
Yeah.
our civilization, our specific hues of Western civilization, our ethnicities. That really speaks to me and this entire community and what we care about and what we see as productive. And also what you said about, leaving and splitting away from this other entity and Mark Collett himself, I think is so important. It really it's easy to say and easy just to glance over, but the reality of having people on board that are cranks, that are socially inept, that are looking in the rearview mirror, that are reminiscing endlessly about the past, and are affront to many of our race, many ordinary, normal people who would be very happy to join us in the work that we're doing. They care about the things that are happening. I wonder if you might speak for a second about what it feels like to go from an environment where you're having the productive people having to try to pull the entity along with the dysfunctional people on board, and then finally cutting free of them, and what that is like, what that frees all that extra energy up to do.
Yeah, it was a massive weight off our shoulders, and lots of us felt that you're not constantly having to apologize for the actions of other people. If everybody's on the same page and the same team, for example, we've now got 13 town, parish, and community councillors, and we expect the 14th one to come along in a couple of weeks. That process already there, and none of these councillors now have to go into their council chambers and have a meeting and justify the actions of some lunatic, some crank, some antisocial element. And you're right. We've created something now that people can be proud to join. They can openly talk about us in their workplace. They can talk about us to their
Yeah.
family. We've got branch organisers and regional organisers who are telling us, they run local businesses. They've got families, and they're not trying to keep it as some little dirty little secret. They're
Yes.
very proud to be in the Homeland Party, and that's it. And I had something, and even back in the BNP days, and I did it in the other organisation we're talking as well. The litmus test for me is whenever you meet these new people, is whether you would be happy to take that person back to meet your wife or your
Yeah.
partner, your kids, and your family. And if the answer is no, you should be saying to yourself, I'm not sure this person is right for this organization. And if you're saying, okay, I might not take him home just yet, but even if I took him to a social event with the organization, with the party, am I terrified he's going to say something so retarded he's going to put other new people off? And literally, that's the litmus test we should have. If these people cannot have discipline, they don't have control. If they would embarrass you and put other people off, we're never building a mass movement. And it really is as simple as that. And um, even that aspect is so refreshing. I literally I hardly had a weekend at home for months and months, and everywhere I go, I very rarely meet somebody that I go, that's one of that guys.
Mm.
That's one of these people I want to reject. And when we do identify them, sometimes it takes a few visits or two meetings before somebody you know reveals themselves, if you want. And
Yeah.
but we deal with it straight away then, and we challenge bad behavior. But one of the things that I do like, and I never apologize for, I like to give people opportunities. If people
Yeah.
have come from a rocky past, or done
Yes.
something they're not proud of, it's what they do now. When they join us, we can pretty much forgive most things. There's things you can't, but we certainly, if somebody's come from the extremist end, be it from the left or the right, I'm prepared to give them a chance. If they've given up on those ways, and they're determined to be sensible nationalists now, get involved in community politics, give them the opportunity. There are many people who turn their lives around, and it doesn't even have to be political things. There's young kids who get involved with drugs, and there's young kids who get involved in petty crime, but many of these people turn their lives around with a wee bit of a support network and a good community. And you guys talk about all the time the anti-whiteism that goes on, in our communities is incredible. It's
Yes.
amazing any young kids leave school right now sane and compass mentis, because it's drilled into them everywhere. And now it's not just in the schools, it's in the workplace, it's literally everywhere. Media, social media, telly, newspapers. um if you get kids who've come away from that completely clean, it's a blinking miracle. It really
It
is.
absolutely is. Yeah, when I was in the UK and spoke at the previous entity, I saw that there were good people, there were productive people, there were folks who, fit right in with the rest of our population. But then there were others that not so much. And I saw, that like they were allowed to be there. Maybe there was a bit of an inclination to even embrace some of that antisocial behavior. But it sounds to me, and what I've looked on Homeland's websites and the different work that you all have been doing, that there are a lot of straight-laced, smart, properly groomed, clean shaven, looking people that have their head on straight and are ready to tackle this anti-whiteism that we see in our environment. But it also sounds to me like, and I wonder if you might speak to it for a second, because you just kind of started to right there, that somewhat of what Homeland Party does is to help to ennoble the individual. If they bring a little baggage with them, that you're going to make them better if their mind is there, if that's what they want. I wonder if you might speak to that again for just a moment.
Yeah, 100%. What we need to do is give courage back to our people. For the past, I would say 10 years at least, there's been this encouragement that there's no political solution, to
Mhm.
run away, to hide, change your name,
Yeah.
change hide everybody, go masked up. When the public see people in ski masks or hiding their faces, they think these people are terrorists. They think these people
Yes.
people are antisocial, some kind of hooligan. It doesn't portray confidence. So how can you believe? For me, nationalism is the most healthy worldview there is. It's the answer to all the world's problems. If people put your own people first, don't interfere in other people's business. That's healthy, natural, and normal. And you should be like the early day missionaries, going around proselytizing. Everybody you see, you want to give them the good news. You want to talk about it. These people are literally hiding, and when they do come out, they're hiding their faces. So where everybody else thinks they're sinister and ashamed of the stuff that they're supposed to believe, and it really is ridiculous. If you do not engage in the political process, you leave the enemy to have control of the field, to dominate the council chambers, to dominate the universities, the schools, the police service, the judiciary, everywhere. That's what we've done. We've literally said, we can't beat the system, or you don't want to play with the system, we're going to run and hide. And it's the most stupid thing on the planet. If you want power and control, you've got to stand up, you've got to be confident, you've got to be knowledgeable, you've got to be brave. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring that courage. That's in our blood. This
Yeah.
this is Western man. We have literally built the modern world.
Yes.
If I look at the history of my people, um, we don't lose. We win, we innovate, we create, and if we want to win, we damn well win. And the problem is that there's been leaders in this movement for the past 10, 15 years who are telling people to hide away, don't engage, don't be part of the process. Let's build this alternative community that ignores normal society, that ignores people. They even talk in language. When I first joined PA, I spent the first few months going, what does this mean? What does that mean? Because they created this whole uh, language that nobody uses in the normal normal world. Red pills,
Oh,
black
yeah.
pills, and just all these different things. Even based and normies and
Oh, yeah.
keynote, and just there's a whole lexicon of language that if we talk like that every day. And I don't. I go out and I meet people. I go to the pub. I go to cafes. I go to shops. I talk to everybody I meet in the street with a dog. Everything. You have to talk the language of the people of the community you live in, and if you're not doing that, again, it's this whole process of alienating yourself from normal society. Even they can't even regulate themselves. enough to stay on the social media platforms where ordinary folk are. And they go away onto these wee niche communities where nobody else heard them. And they start existing in this little bubble where they talk themselves and get engaged in this purity spiraling where nobody's as good as them and they're also wonderful, but they're not
Yes.
changing society. They're just living in this little microcosm that is doing nothing. I want our people to be brave and get back out in communities and take control away from the enemy so that our people can have safety and they can have peace and prosperity. I want us to thrive. And it's not going to happen if we cannot change the mentality of the nationalist community and get people out being confident and speaking to their family, their work colleagues, their neighbours, all that. I literally moved down to Worcestershire in England, probably 2 and a bit years ago now, and I probably know more people on my street than most of my neighbours because I engage,
Right.
and I don't hide where I am. I don't confer where I am. Everybody at the local pub, the two pubs know who I am and what I'm about. I have conversations pretty much on a daily basis with people in this neighbourhood, and yet I know people in some of these other crank organisations who haven't even told their mum and dad that they're
Wow.
nationalists. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
It's insane. It's insane.
In the States, the words, and maybe they as well, the word they use, or the statement they use for that, is to hide your power level. You have to not tell anybody how much you know, and it's got to remain. You got to hide that power level, and you can see how effective that has been at accomplishing nothing. But the Homeland Party, in its inception, what's the vision for it? Where would 5 years from now, what was the vision for Homeland Party? Where is it going over that next 5 years?
Yeah, get as much power and control as we can in everything. And it's not just, there's this fallacy that the Homeland Party is only interested in political power, but it's not. We want people involved in parent councils, in unions, in magistrates courts, anywhere that exists, anywhere there's political control, fiscal control, financial control. These things are important. Get involved in youth groups and volunteer groups. Show people what nationalism really is. Make a positive impact on that. So at the moment, we've only been going for just over 2 years. We have got more members than every one of our rivals from the genuine national sphere or the ones I consider to be actual genuine parties. So there's a few grifting operations that make no illusions about fighting elections, and they're just about making money. But in those who are serious about taking seats and stuff, we've overtaken all of them already. I met with the leaders of one of the parties on Saturday, and he confirmed, yeah, we've overtaken them in memberships of an organisation that's going for about 15 years. We've overtaken them in membership, in activism levels, in our elected representation levels. So for us, you hear the Unite the Right a lot, and there are a couple of parties I would love us to merge with, and we're already having negotiations along these lines with these people. There are other ones I have absolutely no interest in because there's nobody of talent there. Their model is a grift. They're not really serious about winning power and control. So I waste no effort on these. But there's a couple that I am working with, and I work with lots of people outside that sphere as well, because we have ambitions to be a mass movement. But we're under no illusions right now that we're operating in a climate that is very difficult for a genuine nationalist party, because Reform, a civic nationalist variety, have taken the bull by the horns now, and they're doing exceptionally well. And that's a positive thing for me. They're breaking that cycle of people voting for the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, the Democrat and Republican alternatives, similar to what you've got in the States. So that's good. You're now breaking that mold. And the next step when you do that, if Reform let them down, is us. So our plan is basically to amass as much political power and control and demonstrate in local communities that we can win district councillors and more parish, town and community councillors, so that when Reform, I believe, will still have a successful 2029 general election, they will not deliver. They've already taken control of several county councils where they've made the promise that they will stop housing asylum seekers in any area they control.
Mm.
Now, that election happened in May. There's been zero progress on that since that time. They're
Wow.
doing other things, progressing, and they've got good people in the party, no doubt. But their leadership is, you know, is centre right. Their membership is much more right wing, closer to the Homeland Party stance. But people are desperate for change, so they're backing the reform horse. And we are literally the only nationalist party, the only right wing party that is growing in the midst of this, reform tsunami. Everybody else saying, "Oh, we're hemorrhaging membership reform." We're not. We're growing. We're actually
Wow.
taking form. We've just appointed a new national nominating officer. Our political department is grown so big, we've split it up into a policy department, an election department, and we've got a new nominating officer who's a former chairman of a reform branch. So, we're actually stealing members from them because, we're offering something genuine and wholesome, and that's going to continue. So we've literally got a plan for the next 5 years to build and grow and position ourselves, hold reform's feet to the fire when they fail to deliver on the things that they've promised their people, as they're already doing. Farage and Tice, Youssef, and all the rest of them, they won't deliver on remigration. We will. And we'll make the economic argument for it. We've already made the moral argument for it, and we've also got plenty of volunteers. The bigger this party grows, the more people who will give up their Saturdays and Sundays to make remigration happen.
Yes.
Reform might be filled with cowardice and an inability to even say the words. We're going to have thousands of people who will actually volunteer to man the remigration centres and get them on the planes. So people will be under no illusions that when the time comes, if they want local authorities, if they want constituencies run by people who will put them first and ensure that there's no illegals, no asylum seekers housing there, and we will be working to redress demographic change as well.
Nice.
That we're facing an existential threat. It's not going to be good enough to shut the border. We have to reverse that right now, because if we don't, we're lost as a people, and England will no longer be English. Scotland no longer be Scottish.
Right.
Same for Wales and Northern Ireland as well. And that's happening across Europe. We're seeing, we've got many friends on the European continent as well. And one of them, we're seeing Chega, who in the last weeks of their election campaign started backing remigration, and they went from third place to second place in like 5 weeks.
Wow.
That is happening across Europe, and we've seen it, and we're working with these people. The Homeland Party is actually working very closely with lots of parties in Europe who haven't yet produced a remigration policy, and our policy is being used as a template by many of these parties that we're discussing with. So, for such a small new party, we're doing really incredible things right now, and we are terrifying reform despite our small size. Farage is openly telling people, if you like Homeland Party, get out of reform and join them, and it's great.
That is splendid. Wow, what great news. I'm really excited about Homeland Party and what you all are doing over there at Kinney. We've got about 5 or so plus more minutes with you. It sounds like one of the things that you all are working on, and I'm excited about, is that you're touching base with a lot of other right-wing-ish groups across Europe, exchanging ideas and strategies as well. It sounds like you're adopting that's working, that which is productive, and shedding that which is problematic or destructive. What else, in the remaining time we have with you, brother, what else are you currently working on right now, Homeland Party? I know you had maybe you got a conference coming up. And I wonder if you might speak to that for a minute. And then next time we have you on, we'll get a little bit more into the weeds about this specific politics, the anti-whiteism that's taking place in the UK. And anywhere else that you would like to speak to, and how Homeland Party plans on sort of tackling these things. But with the time we have left today, what projects do you have going on right now?
Yeah, well, this week we've had an incredible week. Despite I have a full-time job, I'm not employed by the party. Every one of our people are volunteers. They're all working men and women. They've got kids and families. So we do amazing things on voluntary hours. But we've produced 4 major documents this week for our internal processes. One talking about developing a network of legal professionals, something this country is desperate for. Some of our continental friends in Austria and Germany are very good at this. We're not. You know, I've known lots of youngsters who've dropped out of legal studies because they think it's too woke and it's too hard. Which should be the opposite. We should be infiltrating that profession and supporting our people through that. We've done stuff on constitutional matters. We've done stuff on funding and donors, and we've done one on social media training. We are very big on meetings and training. One of the reasons why we are so productive and why we're so effective is because we literally have National Council meeting weeklies. The regional organisers meet weekly. The officers meet fortnightly. In the regions, the branches meet weekly. You know, we do force it. I was going to say we force ourselves. We do. Yeah, we literally say if you want to be an officer in this party, you've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the effort, you've got to commit to meetings, to organising, coordinating, communicating. We do something that's quite special that I think is badly neglected across the sphere. We train our people on hostile interview techniques. So
Mm.
I'm looking at my calendar here. On the 18th of July, we've got another officers training meeting where we're literally going to put people in the spotlight and give them scenarios, and they've got to respond, you know, with the usual enemy hostility stuff, you know, all the silly questions you've probably been asked a million times, but
Yeah.
also things a bit more tricky and a bit more technical that don't often get asked. So again, it's about building our people up, making them confident. We've had amazing training from some of the friends on the continent. We've got a workshop on the 2nd of August where we're doing social media training, where we're doing basically a workshop on how people to get more people doing short reels. I'm you know, I'm not the most photogenic, but in the world, we need some more of these handsome young men and women to stand up and be the image of the party. So we're encouraging that. Most of the stuff I do is stuff that's behind the scenes in terms of structure and building our people up. I think that's the most important thing. You know, no one man or no one woman is going to win this. We have to work together as a team, encourage all our people to take responsibility, share the burden. So that's literally what we do. And you know, I went to London this weekend and for 2 days. I went down the Friday and was back on the Sunday, and I think I had 6 meetings. And none of these meetings at the moment are things I can actually crow about. But that's because we're networking, we're organising, we're working with anti-migration groups, we're working with. I met people who were in the defence industry. I met people who were counsellors, and I met somebody from the legal profession as well. We're literally networking and building for the future, giving people again that concept. And I think there's one of the biggest things for us is at the moment is that we are still a small party. You know, there's no hiding that fact. You know, 1,400 members is literally tiny. 13 councillors is still tiny in the grand scheme of things. But everywhere we go, people who are politically aware know about us and understand, and they're just looking for that verification that we can break through onto that next level. Will we start getting district councillors? Will we start getting county councillors? And see, when we do that, all this prep work that we are doing right now, that'll come to fruition. So, you know, the people are constantly underestimating me, constantly underestimating the Homeland Party, but we deliver all the time. And, you know, even things like they told us we couldn't register up a genuine nationalist political party. We did it. They told us you can't have open meetings in your name at local authority buildings. We do it. We never have a conference or a meeting anywhere with fake names. We don't sign up as the book club or the hill walking club or the train club. We're Homeland Party. We're proud to be who we are. We fight and we stand on that platform. And it's for us, it's about changing perceptions, giving confidence. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing the last couple of months. Is a lot of internal things, building our people up, training people. I literally have 3 nights a week that are just solid meetings, and then my weekends are filled with travel. I think Friday is the only night this week that I have managed to carve out for myself, and I'm gonna protect that fiercely this week because in fact I'm talking rubbish because I have to travel down south actually on Friday night. So yeah, uh,
Wow. Well, I'm really
yeah,
excited, brother, about this is our first time to chat, and really excited about what I'm hearing about with you and Homeland Party. And you guys you're busy and it's mature. People have jobs, they function out in the community, they're not hiding. You're able to hold meetings in your own name. All very exciting stuff. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we are all about here in service to white well-being. And I know we got some people in this community that are also very excited about Homeland Party. And I am too, very impressed with you. And I'm really glad we had this conversation. Really looking forward to having you back in the near future to, like I said, get a little bit more into the weeds about the politics and social issues, the anti-whiteism where you all are and what you're facing and how you're tackling it. I wonder if you might, with your final words here, give your whatever thought you have left for today and let folks know where they can find you and Homeland Party.
yeah. Thank you very much, Jason, for the opportunity. Really enjoyed it, and you do such good positive work. I speak to quite a few of your colleagues, people like Loki down under. Hi to you. I'm sure you'll be watching. And yeah, I think it's very important that we promote positivity, that we promote confidence, and yeah, hats off to you for doing that as well. I would encourage people, particular, to go to homelandparty.org, our website, and if you like what you're doing, sign up and join. Membership is open to people all around the world. We have people from various parts of the world helping behind the scenes as well, and some of the stuff they do. And we're on pretty much all the social medias, on Twitter. You can find the Homeland Party there, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Because of our sensible nationalism, we are in all the places where good folk are. So yeah, please do give the party a follow. And yeah, again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Jason.
Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to y'all's successes and to having you back again. Folks, that was the one and only. We had him here, the chairman of the Homeland Party, Kenny Smith. Thanks for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it. We'll be right back, folks.